The Connector Next Door is your invitation to meet the natural connectors all around us. They represent the everyday event planners who are energizing their communities every single day. Their stories are familiar, fun, and full of charm. Your host, Lisa Garrow, is a lifelong event planner and has been a connection strategy coach for over a decade. She knows events can become energized connecting points where communities can gather and grow. Let's listen in as she strikes up a conversation with today's Connector Next Door.
Linda Joyce Jones believes that gathering is essential to living a meaningful life. She's a self-proclaimed obsessive organizer of people, places, and events, orchestrating special occasions in both her personal and professional life for more than 25 years. Her pragmatic approach and knack for sweating the small stuff has helped her organize successful corporate conferences, community events, retreats, fundraisers, and more. Something both Linda and I believe to be true is that many have the skills to plan events, but they haven't really thought about how they can apply their diverse skills to planning events. This belief has brought Linda to support accidental planners like herself, saying, "Event planning is essentially project management, and anyone can create amazing memories for their families, in their career, for their community, or even the world through the events they plan." A couple of years ago, Linda wrote the Event Planning Toolkit, Your Guide to Organizing Extraordinary Meetings and Events, to encourage and empower accidental planners. And if that's you, you must read Linda's book, as she shows up with kindness and clearly shares her expertise through every chapter. In our conversation today, Linda shares how connection is collaborating with people in order to achieve a goal, and how we can gain a sense of belonging through that collaboration. That's a beautiful reason to intentionally include event planning on your to-do list. Well, welcome back, everyone, to the Connector Next Door. I feel like I haven't had a nice, rich conversation for a few days here. And so I'm really glad that, Linda, that you are willing to join me here to have a conversation today about how we learn from the natural connectors in our world. But for you, you are a natural connector. I'll tell the listeners a little bit on how I found you, which is a little bit silly, but I'm so glad that we have become friends and that this is a conversation I think people will be taking a lot from. So welcome here.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk about my favorite topics. So yeah, let's go.
Let's go. You know, it's funny because I remember I found your book on Audible, and I am always a curious person, but I was listening to your book as I was stuck in traffic, and I was on my way to a photo shoot for a book that I just released, and I was just feeling stressed about this photo shoot, and I just thought, oh, I just need to listen to a book. And it ended up to be almost 2 hours on the road. And you were in my ears, in my car stereo the whole time. And I tell you, and I think I mentioned to you the first time that I talked to you that I was almost in tears because of your way of conveying to the people that were reading the book your passion and your expertise and your willingness to go there. And when I say there, I mean in the space that is the mess of all of us that are out here planning and promoting our own events in a way that we really care, right? We're passionate about what we're doing. We care about the result. We care that we're going to do it right. And then here is this resource that you've provided that you're so kindly and so expertly walking people through. So maybe before we jump into why you wrote the book, what's in the book, a little more about your work, can you tell me, and those that are listening today, we talk a lot here about the word connection and what that means to each one of our guests. And so can you maybe start there on what does connection mean to you?
Connection for me is gathering with people or collaborating with them in order to achieve a goal.
Mm-hmm.
And that goal could be is going to be absolutely be different for every single event. You could be you're celebrating a milestone, or you want to further a cause, or you want to gain knowledge, or you want to share the knowledge you already have, or you just want to gain a sense of belonging, or a sense that some other person understands and appreciates you for what you bring to the table.
Mm.
Events can do any or all of those things. And once you understand that goal, um, all of your planning kind of falls into place. But I just think, I think gathering is essential to living a meaningful life. And I hope that doesn't sound too lofty, but I just believe it.
And I love how your answer actually lends itself so well to event planning teams, like the ones that are pulling the event together and working together, those long hours and the time it takes and the energy it takes, as well as those that are gathering. When you're talking about belonging, how beautiful is that if we can start to think of a gathering as a place to belong, and we
Absolutely.
feel like it's open for us, that we have that common denominator with others in our world.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you use the word passion. I mean,
Mm,
sometimes, you have a passion for something, and it's so compelling. It draws you towards other people who have that same passion,
mm,
whether it's a social cause, or a political cause, or just a hobby, or um, a sport, or some other special interest, or a career choice. But you're trying to find those other like-minded people, to spend time with, and connect with, and create what I call mountaintop moments,
mm.
through that special gathering or that special event, that to foster that connection. So
So
pretty
with
exciting.
you, it is pretty exciting. Clearly, you have a passion for events. If there was another passion or something else where you love to personally gather, what would that be for you? Where would you love to gather with people that are like-minded to you?
Hmm. I'm staring at my screen backdrop, and it's Italy. And it's
There you
I
go.
remember I actually remember I was very fortunate to be able to go to Florence, Italy last year, and we went out into the countryside and gathered at a farm where we learned how to make pasta. And we're with people that we never met before, but through that experience of using our hands to create that food, create that meal, and then share that meal together at this gorgeous 200-year-old farmhouse table, and hear and see and experience the life in the
It's
countryside in
beautiful.
Tuscany. Oh, there you go. There, I'm back there right now eating
That
that
sounds a bit
pasta.
like a mountaintop moment. Yeah.
That was a mountaintop moment that I'll never forget. So yeah, but boy, that just the art of gathering around a table with
Mm,
people that are passionate about food. Sign
mm.
me up. Sign me up.
Absolutely. And isn't that interesting that it kind of speaks to the idea that it doesn't need to be necessarily complicated. It clearly you had to book a ticket and you had to get there and all the things about travel that I don't know if they were challenging, but there's
Oh yes.
a lot of things about getting there at the time that you got there.
Post-pandemic. Oh yes.
Post-pandemic, exactly. But it's the essence of it. It's almost like that recipe for a successful gathering or something that feels significant to you, that you have that moment in time that is just kind of captured in your mind, that
Yep.
that was a beautiful gathering. I love that.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about your book. When you say a mountaintop moment in the book, how do you unpack that for the readers? What does that mean for them to think about? How do you create those mountaintop
When I
moments?
Yeah, sure. When I think about mountaintop moments, it's the events and the memories that you create that sustain you from one, through the times that are just ordinary, or uncomfortable, or just the blah days. I mean, the things that you take with you are those mountaintop moments that carry you from from um, from place to place in your life, from season to season in your life. The memories that you carry with you, even after the people you shared it with are gone.
Mm,
Um, I think those are the times that just can motivate us, inspire us, and sustain us, through times of trouble. They help build us up, they help strengthen us, they help strengthen our relationships. And um,
Mm.
I don't know, when you get down to it, I get all lofty, but it's like, in my opinion, what else are we here for except to serve others and use our time and our talents to make a positive impact on our little corner of the world.
Mm.
I've chosen to do that through planning these mountaintop moments. I remember, my planning a surprise 70th birthday party for my dad, and the look on his face when he walked into the room, totally surprised, very quiet, unassuming man, would never have asked for this for himself. When he saw all the people in that room that loved him and cared for him, and his family and friends throughout the years, it was absolutely, it just is a moment I'll never forget, and a moment that I don't think he ever forgot. And it was more priceless to him than any gift we could have ever given to him.
Mm.
So um, that's
And
kind of what I'm talking about. That's a
well, and it's
mountaintop
kind
moment.
of, and your book is so full of event tips, like getting us to that point as well.
Yeah.
But what's so interesting is as you're talking about that moment, you're not talking about the schedule and the food necessarily, or it's the energy and the feeling in the
hmm
moment that probably everyone in the room felt at the same time.
And that's where you have to start when you're planning an event. How do you
Hmm.
want the people to feel as they leave your event?
Yeah.
What do you want them to be talking about on the car ride home, or to the seatmate on the plane as they're flying home from your conference? What do you want them to remember a year after the event is over? That's where you have to start in order to really um, do your job.
Yeah.
And then all those other bits and pieces and million little details fall into place once you understand that goal that you're trying to achieve. But
Hmm.
and it doesn't matter whether it's a personal or professional event, in my opinion.
It
And
sounds so much like the connection first foundation we talk about here at Candy, because it's really about if you haven't built your event and all of those details and the logistics and everything else on the foundation of connection, you're not going to see the same kind of result, and you're not going to actually see that ability to repeat almost that same feeling with that group over and over again, because you
yep.
don't know quite what it feels like. And we talk about the connection points over time that creates a relationship, and it creates a desire to be together and new
hmm
ideas to actually be folded into the mix. When you're talking about the recipe, like where are we adding new ingredients so that we actually see um, a mountaintop moment even more often with the people that we want to serve. It's
hmm
such a beautiful example of why we do the work that we do.
I know.
It's so incredible. And I would guess too, have you felt that in your planning where there have been times where you've forgotten about the mountaintop moments, or you're now you feel like things are muddy, or you feel like things are you've done so much planning, or you're getting in your head
Oh,
in your
sure.
planning. How do you
Yeah.
pull yourself out of that kind of a space?
It happens for sure. You can get mired down and in the mess of uh, of logistics and hiccups and cancellations, or trying to come up with just the right speaker, or you can get mired down for sure. And again, I go back to my goal statement, which I type up. I literally type it up. It's in my front page of my planning folder. And anytime I get stuck, I just go back to the mission. It's like,
Hmm.
what are we trying to achieve? Um, are these decisions in the interest of achieving that goal, or have we gone astray? Um, and then we just take a step back, take a breath,
Hmm.
bring in your trusted team, and regroup.
Yeah.
Um, and it all, you know, the other thing to remember is that, if things start going a little sideways, it's okay. I mean, I think everybody that shows up to an event shows up kind of wanting to have a good time, right? They do.
Yeah.
And I think,
Yeah.
the thing people are usually pretty forgiving if something's not quite going according to plan. And if you've already thought through a plan B in your head, then, you just You just breathe and improvise.
Right,
We've all been
exactly.
there, right?
And also getting to the mountaintop together, like it's not a solo
Hmm.
journey, and that you're celebrating that and remembering that
Yeah.
together. That's always one of the most beautiful things, is when you can look back and say, hey, what we accomplished, or look at what happened at that event. And I always believe that as you look to that mission and you find your purpose in your planning, little surprises show up where it reinforces why we're doing this in the first place,
Hmm.
which is
I
for me a real
it
beautiful moment.
absolutely. Um, some of the corporate events that I've been planning in recent years, we always include a survey at the end. And going back to those survey results and reading the, 99% positive comments in those
Uh-huh.
survey results also can help you kind of jump out of that rut and say, okay, we're doing a good thing here. Let's remember that
Yeah.
the vast majority of people are really enjoying what we do. They sign up year after year. They can't wait for the next one. They've got it booked on their calendar, and we're doing this for them. So,
I
let's
love
regroup
that.
and remember that. So,
And it's so easy for us to look at the one complaint or
yes.
the one problem. I've had to learn over the years to pace myself, to take exactly what you're saying, that step back, and
Hmm.
also to gather with those that also care about what we're trying to accomplish, because they can remind us why we're doing this in the first
Yes.
place.
Don't ever throw out a good plan because of the vocal minority.
Ah,
If you're getting a 90 or 85%, 90%, 95% satisfaction rate, or, meets or exceeds, or whatever, don't change your plan because of the vocal minority. You're doing a good thing. You're doing a good thing.
hmm.
Just, keep the faith and keep moving forward.
Oh, I love that. How did you get into event planning in the first place? Can you tell those that don't know you, why did
Oh
you
gosh,
choose this incredible, sometimes very stressful, but a beautiful career path? Where did you
I'm
start?
not sure I chose it. I'm not sure I chose it. Because sometimes I'll call myself an accidental event planner.
Mm,
I feel like I've always had that organizing and planning gene inside of me, and it kind of feeds that inherent gene that I have. So, I mean, from the time I planned the bridal shower for my best friend in college, all the way to uh, i- planning a multi-day arts and crafts festival that brings hundreds of thousands of people. It's just I've just been drawn to planning events, and drawn to the satisfaction that I get from looking around and seeing the results of my work.
mhm,
Um, just a little sparks of connection that people have at these events. The smiles, the handshakes, the hugs, the networking that occurs, the relationships being formed. Even if it's from an artist and someone who appreciates their art, and maybe building a lifelong friendship through someone's art at an art show. Those things can last a lifetime. So
mhm.
I just always been drawn to recreating those moments again and again. And just seems like every job I've ever had, every organization I've ever joined, um, I don't know. I hear an idea, and I'm like, well, what about if we did this? What if we did that? Have you ever thought about adding that? And I don't know. I just end up in the middle of things.
Uh, and like so many people, they say to me, I'm not an event planner, Lisa. I wouldn't call myself that. And I joke sometimes that a lot of people that I work with, they'll unveil all of the things that they're doing. And I'm like, yeah, you're actually an event planner. You're not calling yourself that, but the essence of what you're trying to create and all of the details that you're pulling together, all the people that you're pulling together, that's where it can become so much fun, when
Yeah.
not only that they recognize that in themselves, but then they say, oh, well, then I can get education, or then I can get some learning, or
Hmm.
then I can get some coaching around this. And that's where I find that people start waking up to what's possible, which is
Hmm.
really exciting. What were you hoping to accomplish with writing the book? That's a
Yeah.
big endeavor to do that, and it's a big gift to the world. What were you hoping to accomplish with having the book out?
Well, the book was written for the people you just described. It's for
Mm,
the people who that I've run across over the many years of planning events, and that look at me and say, "Oh, I could never do what you do."
Mm.
I'm a worker bee. Put me in a corner, give me a single job, and I will do it. Um, but my message to those people are, you can do this. You're
Mm.
probably already event planner, don't even know it, because event planning is, and I say this in my, explain this in my book, it's project management. If
Mm.
you've ever planned a garden, planned a week-long vacation, driving to the Grand Canyon, and you've done the logistics and the budget and the timeline and if you've ever done a project at work where you got scope and you got time and you got resources that have to be managed, and you're already an event planner. You've already got the tools that you need. You've just never applied it in this way. And so in the book, I've tried to demonstrate how you can use those skills that you already have and just have never really thought about how you could apply them to planning events. So I wanted people to just understand, with the right tools and a solid action plan, anybody can create these amazing memories, for their family, their career, their community, the world. So
Hmm.
that's who I wrote it for. It's for those accidental event planners, those people that join an organization and all of a sudden they're on a committee and all of a sudden they're planning an event. It's like, how in the world did I get here? Could think of me sitting on your shoulder, helping you think through all those little details, and uh, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the
Well,
goal.
and I told you the last time we chatted that I would love to be disseminating this book to a lot of people that we work with too, because it does help you feel grounded. It gives people that haven't thought about it in that way before, because I was saying, even chatting with somebody yesterday, that some of the work that we do as an accidental event planner, or I could say everyday event planner,
Hmm.
you might be really good at one or two events that you've done for a long time. Be a great tool for the people that are looking to either expand their planning or to explain what they do to their planning team or to their executive, which is something that quite often a lot of people need to do or feel like
Absolutely.
they want to do.
Many times, people in leadership or the executives that are visionaries, they
Hmm.
had this fantastic idea. I want to create this amazing event for our clients, and I want it to look like this, and here's how I want it to feel, and here's how I want them to feel when they leave. They have no idea how to make that happen. They've got the
Hmm.
vision. They need the people that can execute. And if you can position yourself as someone who can execute that, wow, um, how that's going to elevate you within your corporation and in the eyes of your leadership team, you can't overstate the value of that.
Yeah, and you'll be gaining momentum from that too, because then you start to get the champions around you and the
Hmm.
people, and often the funds, right? The funds that are needed
Absolutely.
to pull these things together. When you're freed up to do the work that you are gifted to do, there's a real magic in that. So you're currently planning events now as well, is that right?
That's right. Most of my work these days is in the corporate event planning space. As a member of leadership team for a software company, I am responsible for planning internal team building and employee events, kind of to keep our workplace culture alive and engaged. But I also plan multi-day corporate training conferences for our clientele. The last one I did was in the fall, and we had it sold out. The venue just wasn't big enough to allow more people to sign up, but we had 250 clients and industry professionals, and we have several goals with these kinds of events. It's to obviously provide continuing education and training on the software people use every day. We want them to be able to interact with their peers and explore mentorship opportunities, whether they are the mentor or the mentee. Um, we want them to grow in their career and get a chance to step away from their day-to-day routine and gain some new perspective or new insights that they can take back and put to work in their workplace. And then, of course, obviously, we want to build and strengthen our professional relationships with these clients, and in such a way that when our competitors go in the door and try and sell them their software, it's like, oh, no, no, no. No, no, no. We're satisfied where we're at, and we're never leaving.
Now there's a big
So
mission.
it's a big mission. It's a big mission, and I love planning them. I love seeing the reaction of the clients. I love the fact that we sold out last year. Uh, I've got to find bigger venues for future events, and that's a really good problem to have.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully we'll retain those clients for years to come, and that's a piece of the puzzle of
I
doing
love
that.
that.
So yeah, I'm loving those, loving doing it.
So what are you looking forward to then? Your mountaintop moment message, which is such a beautiful message. The book, your planning work. What are you most excited about now coming into the next year or the next couple of years? What are you looking forward to?
Hmm. I am without giving away, my age or anything. I'm definitely starting to think about what my next chapter is going to look like. I hope that it's continuing to spread the message about the power of events, the power of gathering.
Mm,
Um, I would like to maybe pursue a companion book to the book that I've already written, like a course book or a workbook. Someone could a digital workbook that people could put into practice to plan specific events. Um, but yeah, I want to be able to continue to um, empower people to get out of their comfort zone and give it a try and describe hopefully in a way that explains how rewarding it can be to
mhm,
jump in and say yes to planning that next fundraiser or planning that next corporate event or planning that next community festival or fair or get involved in their kids' school, start a babysitting co-op, whatever it is, just jump in and get involved. The rewards are great, and yeah, I say just do it, just do it. To steal a phrase, to steal a phrase.
Just, yeah, just do it. For those that feel like they don't consider themselves an event planner yet,
Hmm.
or they're not quite ready to say yes, to dive in and give it a try, like you say, to get all of those great benefits of what it means to be an event planner, what would you give them as maybe some starting points for them to start to dip their toe in? And then what does, in the bigger picture, when we're creating these connections, when we're bringing the gatherings together that you've described, what does that do to our world
Mm.
in a big picture? What are we actually creating in our world that would bring some positivity?
I um, I'm going to go back to a book that I picked up. It was a Betty Crocker cookbook, and
Ah,
it was called Betty Crocker's Guide to Easy Entertaining: How to Have Guests and Enjoy Them. And
mm,
in the book, she describes the meaning, the definition of hospitality as being disposed to entertain with generous kindness. And that's what we're doing. Being disposed, it's being ready in detail and in spirit. Entertain, it's enjoying the event while, entertaining others and enjoying the event yourself. Being generous with your gifts and your time and your talents, and then just treating people with kindness, making your guests feel treasured and that you really worked hard to make them feel like a treasured guest. And again, thinking of the work that you're doing as a gift um, that you're giving.
mm,
And so I don't know. I think people hesitate because they think they aren't organized enough, or they think they can't set a table like Martha Stewart, or they think they can't. Um, they think their house is too messy to invite people over and have a special event. I don't know, but my tagline is rise to the occasion. You'll see that on my social media, my hashtag, rise to the occasion. Shove that fear of failure behind a firmly closed door and just and make it happen. And just remember that our world needs more Betty style hospitality. So I don't know, just be disposed to
Oh.
entertain with generous kindness. Best message I can possibly, thanks, Betty, but that's
Well, and even to think of that as the world that we could be swimming in and enjoying and inviting people to.
yeah,
And events can be that space where people can actually feel it and get an example of what that looks like. And then that, I believe, starts trickling out into the rest of our community and the rest of our interactions with other people in our lives. What a
hmm
beautiful way to think about that. You mentioned social media. So, are you open if people want to continue this conversation, buy the book, ask some advice, or just connect with you on social? How do they get a hold of you?
absolutely. I would be honored to speak to anyone on this topic. If anyone has any questions or insights or just would like to continue the conversation, please do. My website is lindajoycejones.com. And that's where you'll find all the links to my social media sites, as well as information on how to get a hold of the book. It's available as an audiobook, as you said, and hardcover, paperback. It just came out in paperback a little less than a year ago. So anywhere books are sold online, and I would enjoy continuing the conversation. So lindajoycejones.com.
You talk about that hospitality, and every time I speak to you, I feel like you're welcoming the conversation so beautifully. So thank you so much for
Thank
this
you.
time together, and excited to share the book, follow where you're going, and hopefully collaborate in the future would be a lot of fun. But thank you again for today. What a rich conversation for those listening. Thanks again.
Thank you, Lisa, again for having me. I really, really enjoyed it.
The Connector Next Door podcast is produced by Candy Event Consulting, where everyday event planners and their teams gain clarity, get connected, and grow in confidence. Subscribe at www.candyconsulting.ca to hear visits with everyday event planners who are putting connections first.